the time. If the refs have to decide the game for you, you never won it. Right. And essentially what that means is don't put yourself in a position to where the referees have to make a call that can change the outcome of the game. And that specifically is what happened in that moment where Minnesota was up by 12 at some point in that matchup. They had a poor shooting night from Breanna Stewart, 1 of 19 from Sabrina. You can't waste opportunities like that. So for it to come down to whether or not a foul was called, you had already put yourself in a very precarious situation before you even got there, because that should not have been the difference between a win or a loss. But then you get to overtime, over 6, as you mentioned. They turn the ball over 4 times. They aren't able to cash in on any of the open bunnies that they literally had. At that point, you really can't even blame that play anymore. At that point, you didn't do what was necessary in the extra 5 minutes that was given to you. So, hell of a season for them for sure. But at the end of the day, the New York Liberty took advantage of the moment.
I want you to tell that to their coach.
Yeah,
Because she was not feeling it in that
yeah,
in that post game
yeah,
conference. And I truly understand, because I do think when that foul happened, it took kind of the side of them. And you totally saw experience
yeah,
versus non-experience. This was not the same Liberty team, Tarika, that was against the the Las Vegas Aces last year. Aja Wilson, and they came out saying this team doesn't know how to play together. Now they're not cohesive. They're not friends. But they went to the Olympics together, figured some stuff out, came back, and you saw a team that said we won't be denied this year. I want to ask you this: you saw the parade. We getting in New York. John Quell. Shout out to Barbados. Shout out to the Bajan. Shout out to the Germans. Because if we want to talk about role players significantly helped the Liberty in this one. Shout out to Sabrina Ionescu. Let's talk about that game winner from the logo. It's like Kobe spoke to her personally. He is proud of you. Um, this was the original team. Teresa Weatherspoon, what a thing for her to be in the stands, and you wearing your own jersey to the final.
yeah,
That
right.
is pure fire. Um, with the year the league has had, this seemed like a different finals. This seemed like a
Yeah,
different atmosphere. How was it to be there, cover it all, see it all, the
yeah.
playoffs?
It was
How was that experience?
the atmosphere was crazy. Like Barclays was bananas. And if you ever go to Barclays to a game, there's just certain things that are already attributed to the experience of being in Barclays, but it's just amplified for a postseason WNBA finals. And it was very different from the experience last year, because last year was also very crowded, very star-studded, I mean, you want to talk about star-studded atmosphere. You don't get more star-studded than a Las Vegas Aces and a New York final, where no matter
Mhm.
what coast you're on, there's stars, celebrity row is crazy. The entertainment at halftime was incredible. So all of that was great. So in your mind, you're like, the standard for 2023 was set. How do you outdo that in 2024? And yet the fans helped to outdo that in 2024. The fan experience, the atmosphere, the excitement, even going to Minnesota, seeing how well fans traveled, seeing how quickly they sold out the arena, having to move an NBA game. Granted, it was a postseason game, but having to just move an NBA game because there was a WNBA final going to be played in Target Center on Friday. Just all of that, the whiteout, just the atmosphere was bananas. It felt like it was a championship environment. And that's what these women deserve, right? They
Yeah.
deserve to have that kind of experience. The fans deserve that kind of experience. So it was definitely one of a kind. But you could see that New York was just motivated differently this year. And they had been the number one team all season. They played like the number one team all season, but they were just motivated differently this year. It was that feeling of, you know, I know what it's like to get to the promised land and not be able to cross over into it. And that's the feeling that I don't ever want to feel again. So this was definitely like a revenge tour for them. And you could see that sigh of relief during the parade. They were so excited. You could see Jonquel with the Bahamian flag on her back and shouting out love. You could see, Sabrina with the championship on her custom Letterman jacket. You could see Brianna Stewart. This is her third time in this type of situation. She's a 3-time champion now. Courtney Vandersloot recreating her photo from when she won in 2021 in New York. And so it literally just felt like, for lack of better terms, this New York team kind of got the monkey off their back, because there was a lot of criticism with this team. They constructed this team to win a championship and didn't get it done. To your point, they were criticized last year for not feeling as if they had chemistry. They figured out how to play with each other, how to build that chemistry. And it just didn't feel like there was pressure for majority of the season. So I think that this team feels good about the history that they were able to make. And I feel like they also think that they can do it again in 2025.
I was going to ask you if there was a repeat. Shout out to the Bahamas, not the Barbados, because, I got the Bajan right. But anyways, I'm going to ask you an unconventional question.
Sure.
Because and this is an atmosphere that allowed us, the WNBA, to pay attention to this. Normally, you walk the sidelines and you see the crowd involved, and it was taken on to a different precedent in New York, because we see mascots all the time, and you see these nice little plush animals, and they're cute and they're cuddly. But Ellie, the elephant, she's a woman, okay? She's from New York, and she has totally evolved. And not only that, it's given a feminine presence to the mascot. And women, little girls, just came out today, Ellie posted on her Twitter that she's been told that she's the highest Halloween costume in New York. The evolution of her you don't even think of her as a mascot. You really think of her as a person, from the outfits, the bag. She was with Bianca Belair in the WWE, both rocking their braids. Talk about the evolution of this character, this caricature, and how the WNBA was able to bring that to fruition for everyone.
Yes, Ellie is Brooklyn. Ellie is the real star of Liberty, for real. I mean, Ellie walking the carpet, getting the tunnel fits in. We've seen Ellie on Good Morning America. Like, she has literally embodied what it means to truly get people excited about the WNBA. I mean, there are folks who don't even really remember that the Liberty is the Liberty. They be like, oh, that's Ellie's team. Like, well, damn, Ellie, you just
without bouncing the ball.
Without even bouncing the ball, exactly. But man, Ellie is such a prolific character. I have often forgotten that there may be a human underneath that mascot, because you don't even feel like there are moments where you feel like you want to know. I don't think I ever want to know who the person is behind Ellie, because there's so much mystique, and the way that this character, the way that this mascot has really brought people together. You not only personify New York and personify Brooklyn, but you personify Black culture, right? From the way that you wear your hair, from the way that Ellie dances, from the way that Ellie dresses, from the Telfar bag, from watching the TikToks, and even hearing the voice, that we now come to associate with Ellie. Everything about that just embodies Black culture. And to me, that also embodies Brooklyn and embodies this Liberty team. Granted, it's a very diverse team. It's a very diverse team, but there is still so much culture associated with this character and with this city that it just makes so much sense. And I have to give a shout out to Shayna Stevenson, who is someone who has played such a huge role in bringing the entertainment and bringing that part of the Liberty together. Takia Clark, who is the CEO and president of basketball operations. This is an organization that is ran by two Black women. You know, their communications department and their entertainment department is ran by a Black woman. It makes so much sense that you can see that in Ellie. You could see what represents us in Ellie, right? And so I think there's something to be said about how when you give Black women an opportunity to lead, that we can take things to the next level. I was just reading an article a couple of days ago that talked about how the last two WNBA champions have been organizations that have been led by Black women, with Nikki Fargas in Las Vegas and again Kia Clark in New York. And so it's just, this is what we do, right? This is what we do. We are born to lead. We're meant to lead. And then you give us a superstar like Ellie. What?
We influence it. You can't forget the Tims. Got to remember the Tims.
Period.
Ellie booked and busy like a CVS receipt.
Okay.
And Ellie called me. You know, I'm probably gonna post this. Hopefully you see it. But to call us, we would love to speak to you. It's been so amazing to see her and the excitement that little girls have on their faces when they see her. When they see her,
yes,
not a mascot, but when they see her,
exactly.
Walk through. Let's get to some business, shall we? Because soon after, right after the championships took place, we had a big announcement about a collective bargaining agreement. Per ESPN, the WNBA Players Union announced that the players will opt out of their collective bargaining agreement with the league. The 2021 agreement would seem to be a big one. Shout out to Kathy Engelhart. That was one of the first things she did. That was supposedly big, but it's time to switch it up. The players had until November 1st. That's actually Friday. Can you believe it? It's about to be November. Shout out to the turkey. To opt out, but made the announcement with the impact of the best of 5 WNBA finals still resonating in the sports world. The current agreement lasts through October 31st, 2025, giving the league and the union a year to negotiate the new agreement. In July, the WNBA announced a new 11-year media rights deal featuring partnerships with Disney, Amazon Prime Video, and NBC Universal. It is valued at about $2.2 billion or $200 million per year, but future agreements with additional partners could bring the league's overall media deals closer to $3 billion. Women's Basketball Players Association President Nneka Ogwumike of the Seattle Storm. This is a defining moment, not just for the WNBA, but for all who believe in the progress. The world has evolved since 2020, and we cannot afford to stand still. If we stay in the current agreement, we fall behind. Opting out isn't just about bigger paychecks. It's about claiming what's rightfully our share of the business we've built, improving working conditions, and securing a future where the success we create benefits today's players and generations to come. All these demands, rightfully so. You know, before, this was a league that not a lot of people wanted to buy into. You see the product this year. If we going off of deserving, Mama D, we deserve. These women are going out and getting what they can. When we talk about negotiations, this looks easy. This sounds easy. This sounds like a no-brainer. Will it be easy?
No.
Damn.
No. It won't be easy. It won't be easy, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. Right. And I think that's the important part. You know, I listened to Terry Jackson, who is the executive director of the WNBA Players Association. And she was on a podcast and she was talking about just why, you know, they wanted to opt out. And the one thing that I think she said was promising, that I also hope that's promising, is the fact that WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert knows that it's going to be a battle, right? Like, she knows, but they want to come to an agreement. They want to come to a place where they can all see the benefit for the future of the league and the players. And so I think that's a good thing. At least they have the commissioner who says that they want to work with the players union to ensure that they come to an agreement that both parties can be happy with. They're obviously going to want to take advantage of the TV deal because that's where some of the money is going to come in. They're obviously going to want to take advantage of merchandise sales, which was also up, as you know, that is something that is going to be important. But also things like medical benefits, right? Like those are things that are going to be important. And when you all are no longer members of the WNBA as an active player, what do your member medical benefits look like? Like those are things, you know, in the 2020 CBA, adding, you know, an additional language surrounding motherhood was important, surrounding reproduction, that was important. Well, I mean, it's no secret there have been lawsuits filed based on you know, someone being pregnant or playing while they're pregnant or not, you know, notifying someone and all this other stuff, which is very important. So I'm pretty sure those are conversations that are going to be discussed as it relates to the next deal. So while 2020 was at the time considered a groundbreaking CBA, there are things that have happened over the last 4 years that the players union decided there are some things we need to fix. And the only way that we can fix this as a benefit for our players is to opt out and take care of that now. So I love that they did this. I have no doubt that they will figure out a way to make this new CBA more equitable so that players can, you know, earn more of what they deserve. But there's a lot of people that are looking to invest in the WNBA right now. They just quite literally added 3 additional franchises expansion to this league. So new team coming in Portland, Toronto, and what am I missing? Portland, Toronto, and I'm missing something else out west. And Denver, I think it is
Denver.
Yeah. So
I heard some rumblings of thinking about Oklahoma City.
I have heard OKC, I've heard Tennessee, I've heard Milwaukee, I've heard Philadelphia. Like there have been not Denver, I'm tripping, Portland, Toronto, and Golden State. Those are the 3. So but Denver is one that I've heard. I mean, Charlotte supposedly there's so much interest and investment right now in the WNBA that it just makes sense for the players to try to get what they can to basically leverage this new interest and leverage this investment at this moment. Even charter flights, something that they have, you know, opted into doing more of this year, but it's still not, you know, technically written down. It's still not actually written on paper about how they are operating with the charter flights. This is something that Terry Jackson mentioned. And so it makes a ton of sense that you want to get those things written in black and white and get that in front of the league in terms of what it is that they desire to have so that they can, you know, make this successful. I have no doubt that they will have a CBA agreed upon before next year because they do have to have that done by 2025.
Wanted to ask you one more question before you go. We pay a lot of homage to the old Bucks in this league, and you think A'ja Wilson's old. A'ja Wilson's been doing this, but at the same time, when you look at this year, and we're entering this collective bargaining agreement where we got all these television rights, there's a lot of there's 2 people that come to mind. One in particular, being somebody that's from the Indiana Fever. Her name is Caitlin Clark, and then we also talk about Angel Reese in Chicago. How much do we pay homage to those that have already been in the league doing what they already have been doing? Sabrina Ionescu, we talked about Caitlin Clark and her shooting from the logo, but we have to also express how much that Sabrina had the same amount of threes that the guys in the 3-point contest had, and she went against Steph. Give or take a rack or 2, she might have beat him. How much can you pay homage to the people, to the girls the women that's already been in the league, in the words of saying they deserve this before, but also pay homage to the rookies that came in and kind of sort of changed the game?
Yeah, you know what? I think that 2 things can exist at the same time. And for some reason, a lot of fans recently are missing that 2 things can exist at the same time. this league only exists because of the people who came before it. The WNBA is only a thing because of the 1996 Olympic team. And so if you don't have A, you don't get B. And if you don't get B, you don't get C, and so on and so forth. And so I think there is this lack of recognition for the A and the B because of the way that our world is different in 2024. In 1996, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have TikTok, we didn't have, NIL in college, we didn't have people making money. So the way that we market ourselves and the way that publicity works is very different in 1996 than it is in 2024. Mm-hmm. In 2024, there are so many people, athletes, men and women across various sports that already have platforms, that already have a following, that already are making money with endorsements and sponsorships and things of that nature, that they are generating fans for who they are and not necessarily for what they do. And so I think that's what really made this 2024 class so unique, is that a Caitlin Clark, an Angel Reese, a Cameron Brink, and even looking to this incoming class that will have a Paige Beckers, for example, they already have a following. They already have millions of people who adore them and follow them on their platform. So it is great to see all those people translate into WNBA fans. But we have to allow those fans, and those fans have to want to understand that before your favorite player got here, there were also other people who have paved the way for them to get here. And I think the players do understand that. The players pay homage. The players respect the greats that came before them. The players have favorite. You ask Caitlin Clark who her favorite player is, she'll tell you Maya Moore. You know what I mean? Maya Moore doesn't ever do it. You know what I mean? You talk to Angel Reese, she'll tell you that she looked up to A'ja Wilson. She'll tell you that she looked up to Lisa Leslie. So it's not the players. They absolutely understand what was paid before them. It is the fans that have to understand that your favorite player can always be your favorite player. But there were people here who helped this league exist. And you have to want to know about this game and this league in order to understand and respect that. Some people will, some people won't. And that's just the belly of the beast. But that's essentially where it comes from. Yes, these women should have been flying charter already. Yes, these women should have been on national television a bit more than they have been in the past. But if the new class and their demands and their excitement and the fan base they're bringing in is bringing these new eyes, is bringing this new investment, is helping to increase viewership, nobody's mad at that. Nobody's also about to get down on their knees and praise you like the gods for it either. And I think that's what some people are looking for. It feels as if that's what some people want you to do, is to, give this almighty praise, when no, nobody's going to do that, because it has been a collective effort. It didn't just happen with one player. It's been a collective effort over the course of time. And you just have to understand, again, without A, there is no B. So without the Cheryl Swoops and without the Teresa Weatherspoons, without the Lisa Leslies, without the Delisha Milton-Jones, and without the Candace Parkers, who then the Nneka Ogwumike's and the Brianna Stewarts and all of them, there is no Angel, there is no Caitlin, there is no Cam, there is no Juju. These people don't exist without this. So whether they want to or not, they are going to have to learn, the fans, to respect what came before them, because they just don't get a chance to celebrate their favorites without them.
We also got to celebrate that commercial. Shout out to Penny Proud and Kyla Pratt. Y'all really don't know, okay?
Was my commercial. She was walking up on Cynthia Cooper like, why you ain't passed the ball to Tina's house?
Y'all really don't know. Shout out to that commercial. And it's even more important, because the more you spoke about that, the more I couldn't help but see Teresa Weatherspoon's face. Like, even if I couldn't make it happen, it made it happen. 28 years is a long time. And for her to get her flowers.
I straight asked Teresa too, like, what was her feelings, because she put in the words that she was describing. And that woman brought me to literal tears. I was mad at her too. I said, Spoon, my makeup is messing up because you got me out here crying on this court, because she just was speechless. She had no words. She just could not put it into words what was going on. And I understood that because as much as you saw a weight lifted from the team, you've also felt a weight lifted from her. She had been through so much this year, coaching first year, losing that opportunity for
Yeah.
whatever nonsensical reason. All the rumors, the conversation, the back and forth. It was quite a year for Spoon. So I felt like as much as we saw a weight lifted from New York, we saw a weight lifted from her too, and it was really beautiful to see.
Well, both the rookies seem like they lost their coach. We don't understand how and why, but Fever letting go of their coach, and then them letting the coach in Chicago. Angel Reese come out and saying,
Kurt Miller not coaching in LA either. So Cam and Rakia no longer have a coach, right? So all the rookies
well,
lost a coach.
that want to win right now mentality is now coming to the WNBA where you got to make it happen quick because if you can't, you got to go.
Yeah.
Now, I would tell people where to reach you. I'm gonna let you do that on your own, but I figured you would go on vacation because the season's over a little bit. You probably want to get in to go on the beach, put your feet in some sand, you know. But
Wish.
unless they're under a rock, by the way, Dwayne Wade, that wasn't you. But we ain't gonna talk about that. I saw your Twitter, but I'm gonna ask Tristan that in a minute because Dwayne Wade said you know what he said, but it's supposed to look like you, my guy. But anyway, if the people want to find you, they want to talk to you, they want to
Yeah.
be involved in the culture you bring to the game, and not just to WNBA, but to the game of basketball. And if anybody else knows your story, you've been through the mud, and every flower and
Yeah.
every rose that's growing out of the concrete, sister, is yours. So we appreciate you. Salute on your year. Salute on your year too.
I appreciate that. I really do. But yeah, if anybody want to follow me, you can find me on X at She Knows Sports. I'm on Instagram at She Knows Sports _. I'm always wherever there's a ball, a bat, a grass, turf, a diamond, a court. You can find me somewhere in the mix of that. So yeah, hit me up on X, hit me up on Instagram. My email is also on my Instagram. So if you want to shoot me a message, you can just hit the email button on the IG and shoot me a message. But either way, I'm very responsive. I'm also just started a new podcast with iHeartRadio with the great Cheryl Swoops called Levels to This. So you can definitely check me out in that project there too. It's more than sports. We just two Black women kicking it and talking about stuff that's relevant to us. So yeah, that's what we at, what we doing.
Next time you come to my house, you guys stay for more than 20 minutes. So,
I do.
yeah, you no longer. I don't have to go get you a glass of water. You can go get it yourself.
I give us
We step aside and let you go, Queen. You have a good rest of your evening. Tristan, you've been waiting in the back. Let's go. I'm waiting for you, my friend.
What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, Tarika, thank you so much for being on the show. Technology is not on my side right now. I don't know what's happening. Because now my camera stuff is acting funny. So it's just a lot going on. But we're gonna keep it moving.
We're gonna keep
As
rocking
they
it.
say, yeah, as they say, the show must go on. So as long as you can hear me, I can hear you. Everybody's coming to see your face anyway, so it's all good. We ain't tripping. Um, but definitely shout outs to Tarika for being on the show. The WNBA, I just want to make just a quick note, and I know you want to ask me some stuff,
Yeah.
but with the WNBA, I especially love what she said about the paying homage and just the respect of the women of the past. Like I think what some of the legends, and they are legends, what some of the legends have to understand is that she said it perfectly. Tarika said it perfectly. It's not the players. It's not the current players of the WNBA that doesn't seem to have the deference for those that came prior, but it's the fans. And it's really because the fans are now catching up. And it's because of the fact of, like she said, social media has been so prevalent. So some of these young ladies that we see today are young ladies that we saw their highlights on YouTube. We see them um on their social medias. They got all this personality, the NIL deals. So we see them seeing their different personalities and different commercials and different endorsements that they're getting, while they're in college, while they're in high school. I mean, look at Juju. Um, Look how Gigi, God rest her soul, was already being, promoted, and as the next great thing going into college. Um, when you think of, she mentioned Paige Buchers, who's one of my favorites, um, out there in UConn, and she's going to be in the WNBA draft. And then you got to think about Flo over there in LSU, what she's doing with her rapping career. I mean, she rapped at the ESPY. Like, you got to
Yes.
think about all these things. So it's the fans that are now catching up, where you have some heavy sports buffs like you and I, where we remember the Teresa Witherspoons, we remember the Cheryl Swoops, we remember Cheryl Miller, we remember the Lisa Leslies of the world, Don Staley's of the world. We remember these um players from back in the day, because we were fans even back then. But
Yeah.
really, like she said, that '96 Olympic team is really what put it on the map. Shout outs to Martin, having the '96 women on his show, on that episode. Like, it was just coming to age. So bear with the fans that are trying to catch up. Appreciate the fans that's always been, and let the young stars not only carve their own way into making their own legacy, but they are also paying homage to you guys for the foundations that you laid as well. Like, we don't get to talk about. There's you gotta look at it from a man side as well. Like, there's some people that they only think of LeBron, Steph Curry,
Yeah.
KD, you know, and then you get Michael Jordan, who's like, that's the 1A. But not too many people are talking about Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. You know what I'm saying? Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell. These guys from back in the day, but they're still legends. They paved the way. But the way it is now, social media has taken such a spin with sports.
Yeah.
You have to give this generation, some grace and appreciate the fact that they're looking at it now.
Most definitely. Speaking of the NBA, as we transition to it, we said there was no news. There's always some news. Tristan, today in history, and I saw this on history on the Instagram, the History Channel's Instagram page. Today in history, the 18-year-old basketball prodigy LeBron James racked up 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists in his NBA debut in 2003. That was 21 years ago? How old do you feel? His debut was one of the most impressive in league history. Now we got Bron. Now we got Bronny sharing the court, him and his son. Anthony Davis, this is the first time we had a LeBron moment that was something huge. And we won. How important that was. So today in history, Tristan, another case of LeBron James and in this whole Kane thing.
Well, listen, honestly, when it truly, I mean, we
He made
talked
the
about
History
generational
Channel.
superstars. Yeah, I'm saying, like, we talk about generational, athletes and generational superstars and all that stuff, but really, is there one really that's going to be bigger than LeBron? And I'm talking about in sports when it's all said and done. I mean, when we talk about players like, oh, the NFL can't be told without talking about this player, or the NBA can't be told without talking about this player. The NBA will never be able to be talked about without mentioning LeBron James. And that expands over two, really 3 decades, because we've been talking about LeBron since he was 13 years old. And for him to still be who he is at year 20, what, 21? And
Mm,
then there was an article that came out a couple days ago that said that there's some rumor that LeBron might feel good enough to. It's still early in the year, but he might feel good enough to possibly do this for 2 more seasons. And when you look at it, he really, I mean, he just had a 30-point triple dub a couple days ago. Like, he doesn't really look like someone that is slowing down at any point in time. So in regards
this
to
man will
that,
be
it's
what,
just
41 in, what is it, 41 in January, December, January?
and and yet he's still one of the fastest. He's still one of, if not the strongest player on the floor, night in, night out. It's incredible to see. And I think for people that, are really, still talk about MJ this, MJ that, and look, all props and all respect goes to Michael Jordan. Who wasn't a Michael Jordan fan? Who didn't own a pair of Jordans? Who didn't have a Chicago Bulls mini basketball hoop in their bedroom and all that stuff? Like, I get all that, but let's take the whole debate of Michael Jordan versus LeBron thing. Let's get that out. Let's take that out for a moment, and let's let our eyes watch what we're seeing. We're seeing a guy that with all the hype, all the talk from the time he was 13, though he was dubbed, not anybody else, not Tracy McGrady, not Vince Carter, not Kobe Bryant, nobody else was dubbed to be the next great one behind Michael Jordan
Mm.
than LeBron James. He was the one that was dubbed as the self-proclaimed chosen one. He was the one that was proclaimed as the basketball prodigy. And not only has he met the target, he's succeeded. This is a guy that's the all-time scorer and is still going. We thought Kareem's numbers would never be touched. This guy is going to reach a number that will, I don't think it will ever be grabbed. I mean, to sustain this level of excellence. Say what you want about the finals, say what you want about that. 20 years. His average for 20 years is 20, what is either 25, 27, 8 and 8. That's his average as a player for 2 decades. He's played in different eras of basketball. This is not, just take the debate out of it for a moment and just realize what we're watching with LeBron and appreciate it for what it is, because we're not going to see it again. We said that a million times about different players, but this one, we're not going to see this again. I just think, the good man upstairs just dubbed certain people to do certain things, and I think this was LeBron's thing, and it's not to be duplicated.
Episode 137 of your favorite sports podcast, Roaming the Airways, Rolling with Ramos. Drop those comments down below. Make sure you're talking about us, talking to us. We pay homage to a Detroit Lion, the Doak Walker edition. Tristan, I hope I get a chance to see your face eventually. This is killing me. Anyways, as we mosey along in the NBA, some other things I found out. According to Sham Sharania, if you enjoyed the starting five on Netflix, the current one that's out with Bron, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Edwards, Domantas Sabonis, and Jason Tatum, you're going to get a round two of it. And you should also be looking forward to 2025 to get it with these cast members: Tyrese Halliburton, Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the Beard, James Harden. Another topic of discussion, Tristan. You still there?
Yep. Yep, I'm rocking with you.
Dwayne Wade. He was asked if he saw the responses from folks on social media after the Miami Heat unveiled their new statue in his honor. He said he saw the naysayers' comments online. His response: "It don't need to look like me. It's an artistic version of a moment that happened." When he first saw it, he looked back and said, "Who is that guy?" I know in context, he probably was saying, "Who's that guy?" because he never thought he would get a statue. He also alluded to that. I never, seeing that my family was in awe, I was in awe. Part of me wants to believe he actually believed that. Who was that? But he said played a part in this statue. Of course, they made it in his likeness. He said it's his likeness. He's sticking beside him. Tristan, how you feel about it?
Whew, man, listen. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a fan of Dwayne Wade. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Dwayne Wade. And when they first said that he was getting his statue, I was like, duh. Like, it's Wade County. Of course he's getting his statue. Um, when I saw it, mm, I definitely had the reaction of, what in the world is this? I remember the pose. I remember the game that he made that pose when he hit that shot. So I remember all of that. But yeah, I think what Dwayne Wade said. was probably the best thing he could say, was that it was an artistic expression of the moment when that face was made, which is true. At the same time, at the same time, y- these artists got to do better. I mean, come on, guys. I listen. We've seen better statues where the players look like the player, regardless of what it looked like, regardless of what they did, what facial expression they used, what they didn't use. The player looked like the player. This don't make no sense to me to do this to Dwayne Wade. I feel like, honestly, when I saw it, I almost made myself go back and look at like Dwayne Wade highlights. I wanted to see if there was like another pose they could have used. Um, okay, this will work. I wanted to see if there was like another pose they could have used or something like just something to make it work. Like, because I couldn't believe that that's what they had to offer for your boy. He said all the right things. He said exactly what he needed to say, because you're not going to poo poo on someone that took time to make you. But man, that face, man. I mean,
It was
it's going to be a meme.
it was too gold for me. It was
The
I
jaw,
don't
I mean, he has a strong jaw, but it was too strong. Like he was looking like Thanos' little brother or something on that joint. Like everything else looked
they
great.
didn't
Like if you
call the
didn't have the
guy who
head,
made Kobe statue. What happened?
yeah, Kobe's statue was pretty decent. Shaq's actually most of the Lakers statues are excellent. Actually, now that I'm thinking about
Shaq's
it,
looks this
Shaq's
decent.
looks
Yeah,
great. Kareem's looks great. Magic's looks great. Yeah, like call him or her. Because I don't want to discredit. It could have been one. Like call whoever did their statues, because that was done right. And I'm just like, did anybody approve this? Maybe it was too late. I don't know, but if
there
you
had to be
what
a problem.
listen, what's the phrase we always say? If he like it, I love it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I go by. It's his statue. If he like it, I love it, man.
I thought they was gonna go with the one with him like this. You know what I'm saying? When he passed to LeBron, and that could have been.
Yeah, but that was more like an assist. Like that one was the one where he jumped up on the scores table and like was like, "This is my house." I'm trying to remember the exact game, but I
Yeah,
remember that pose, and he's like, "This my house. This my house." So that was an iconic moment for Dwayne Wade for
yeah.
sure.
Well, first of all, good to see you. Second of all, if
Yeah,
I'm going with you, if you like it, I love it. I. It's like all these Madame Tussauds that come around, and you're like, that ain't Beyonce. But
listen.
but if he played a part in constructing this, and this is what he loved and his family, so and all, we ain't the ones in his tax bracket. We ain't the ones with the statue. We didn't have the talent. Again, congratulations, Dwayne Wade. We're gonna save the World Series after the World Series is over. It's looking like it's about to be over. But bring out the brooms. Who knew this was an East Coast West Coast thing? But hey, it's always one of those things. We move
Yeah,
on to some NFL news and notes, Tristan, because lot took place. We start with the news of the day. The Colts lose to the Texans 20-23. Couple of headlines in that one. Colts 4-4, benching second-year quarterback Anthony Richardson. Joe Flacco will get the start. He was 10 for 32, 175 yards, Richardson. One touchdown, one interception, 6 carries for 45 yards in that game. Asked to come out for one play because he felt tired. This is in the third quarter while facing a third and goal at the Texas 23-yard line. I felt tired. I ain't gonna lie. I know Michael Parsons had a lot to say about this. You should have lied. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there that I did, and I didn't think I was gonna be able to do that next play. So I just told head coach Shane Steichen, I needed a break right there. Quote, of course, there's no crying in any sport. There's definitely no crying in football where you're supposed to be tough. Colts captain Ryan Kelly acknowledged that Richardson set himself up to be criticized. We had a conversation about it, and I think he knows that that's not the standard he needs to play up to, and the rest of the team holds him to. I'll leave the conversation we had at that. I know he's going to take some criticism for that, and rightfully so. That's a tough look. Richardson may have also made the decision possible by underwhelming this season. The former Florida star had completed just 44.4% of his passes while throwing 4 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. He added 41 rushes for 252 yards and 1 touchdown. The Colts have not topped 21 points in a game in which he played the majority of the snaps since week 1, and the offense scores its season high in points when Flacco is under center. Mike Greenberg says what a lot of people are saying. Anthony Richardson wasn't ready for the league. Tristan, he is now benched. How do you feel about it?
I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a quarterback pull themselves out of the game. There's I can count how many times we've seen quarterbacks and you're begging them to pull them, whether they're playing terrible, whether they're literally dragging their body across the field, you're begging them. I mean, a image that just flashed in my head was uh the University of Marshall, Byron Leftwich, iconic shot. Byron Leftwich, offensive linemen are carrying him down the field to finish the drive to win the game. He's on one leg. I mean, uh, Philip Rivers, uh, AFC Championship game, playing on a torn ACL. Um, it's just so many things. Look at what Tua's doing. I mean,
Yeah,
at this point risking life. I mean, I've never I've never seen this. I mean, we could talk about our own guy, Jaden Daniels. I mean, you saw when he hurt his ribs last week and threw his helmet down on the sideline because they told him he had to go back into the locker room. I mean, you just don't see these quarterbacks get off the field because that's the one position. It just takes one play off, one bad play where a replacement comes in, does better than you, and then the voices start talking.
yeah,
And Anthony Richardson ain't been playing well enough this season to warrant that kind of moment because we've seen what Joe Flacco did.
yeah,
So that's the last person you want to take your spot because we've seen Joe Flacco did it in with the Jets when Zach Wilson and them was struggling. He did it with the Browns when Deshaun Watson got hurt, and he did it with the Colts last year and this year. So I don't know what psychologically it's got to be more to that. You can't just say you're tired. You are 22 years old and a world class athlete.
yeah,
22. You basically should have like 3 lungs in you. You are 22 years old and a world class athlete. It's not just tired. It's got to be something else. And the thing is, you got offensive linemen, all these guys that are banging their bodies on every play. Every play is a bang play for them to protect you. You're the quarterback. You're the quarterback. You're the one player on the field outside of an awesome receiver or running back. You're the one player on the entire football field that the entire world will notice if you're not there. You're the one position. We
mm-hmm.
know, we all of us was shook up when we saw Marcus Mariota come on that field last week. He played great, but he wasn't our franchise quarterback.
No,
You know what I'm saying? When a couple years ago when Lamar Jackson got hurt and Huntley came in, he did all right, but he wasn't the Ravens franchise quarterback. When Andrew Luck suddenly retired, it was devastation because he's the franchise quarterback. When you're the franchise, and oh, that just dawned on me. I didn't even realize this, and I'm trying because I feel like if I say it more, there's just more revelation is going to come to me about this. You are the franchise quarterback of a team that watched a true generational player retire because he put his body on the line. That's the same franchise that watched someone retire, was in tears at the podium talking about retiring because his body couldn't take any more of a beating. And you want to tap out because of you're retired?
I hope there's more to that because when he said it, like what you and we
Andrew
talk a
Luck had
lot
a
of no, go ahead.
Andrew Luck had a busted shoulder, a lacerated spleen twice, punctured lung, sprains, ribs broken, all that. Peyton Manning had a damaged neck. This is what you're following, and you want to say you're tired? You were tired, so you had to take a play off on a third and goal situation where they could have probably used you to score. I,
If an injury comes out, would you even believe it? With that
not now,
explanation, if
not now, because you done already got on the podium and said what you said. Had he tapped out the way he tapped out. Had he tapped out and no one said and no and he didn't say anything about it, and then the injury report came out, I'd be like, oh man, he was hurt. He's a gladiator, he's a warrior, because he was injured. He could have lied. There were so many, you're the quarterback. There's so many. Tell the coaches, hey, we can't hear your communication on the sideline like that. Go to your head coach. Go to your offense coordinator. Hey man, I need a breather. It might look bad on them, but they're gonna cover you. They'll be like, all right, we're gonna do a run play here and just hand the
yeah,
ball off. You know what I'm saying? Like it's something, but you didn't even give your coaches a chance to protect you because you went up in the podium and it was so laissez-faire. Like I saw it. It was so casual. It was like, oh man, I was tired for real. That's really what it was. I was tired. I needed a
he
breather.
really said like
I
for
didn't.
real.
It
I
was
ain't even
real
gonna lie.
casual. Like
I ain't even gonna
I ain't
lie.
even, I ain't gonna hold you. I was tired. It was a lot of run. It was a lot of running, and I was tired. Bro,
But and
you're a
you're a
world class
moving
athlete.
quarterback. And you're a
You're
moving
a world.
quarterback.
I couldn't understand if it was like Peyton Manning back there running around like that. He said he needed a breather. He ain't never run like that. That's what you do. That's your game right now because it ain't throwing the football. Well, read out his stat line again for that game.
10 for 32, 175 yards, one touchdown. He
You
threw
can stop.
six.
You can stop right there. 10 for 32. So clearly throwing the football ain't your game. So we need you to run. That's why he's benched. You can't you can't put him back out there with that offensive line after he did that, and now the offensive line know that he was tired. Them guys, when you are in that huddle, you believe in the leader of your team.
Yeah.
You're looking at him, you're dog tired, but you're like, hey, listen, I may sound like a homer, but listen, Jaden Daniels had 12 seconds to get that ball off. And I know we're
With
going to talk
hurt,
about it
he
in
threw
deeper.
everything, and he threw everything,
With
everything in
hurt
his power
ribs,
with a broke ribs. There's no way.
like he had 12 seconds to get that ball off. You know why he got 12 seconds to get that ball off? I saw because I heard it from some of those offensive linemen. They said, look, we got five back there, we got to give him a chance. Because they believe if he's back there at the helm, we have an opportunity. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he stays upright.
He
That's
still
what
scrambled and threw
happens.
that ball.
But that's what happens. That's what happens when you have someone when they see you warring. The dude wanted to keep playing. He threw his helmet down because they told him to go back in the locker room. And then even then took the pads off and still came back out in the sideline to support Marcus Mariota and the team when they blew out the Panthers. And then all week you're hearing everybody's like, man, we don't want it to be another RG3. We should probably see them. And then they're asking him, well, how do you feel? He's like, I mean, I feel great. I want to play, but it's not my decision. You have to peel these guys off the field. And
Randy
you come
Moss
and talk
said
about
not to
something.
play him.
Right. You have to peel these guys off they say it, save them from themselves because if you leave it to them, they're going to play until they die. You just said that you were tired for play. Come on, man. It ain't good. And I liked him, but I didn't believe he was ready to come out. You only played what, 15 games in your
Mm.
college career? I didn't think he was ready. I didn't think he was mature enough. When I watched him at Florida, and this is the thing, and people think I'm crazy when I say things, or they think I think too deep. When I watched him at Florida, great talent, big arm, big athlete, big, strong. But some of the plays I saw at Florida, not to say he took plays off, I just don't think he was as locked in as he should. Like if his natural ability didn't take over, he didn't have that extra juice to say, nah, I'm not losing this game. We not losing this game. I'm gonna do it. I didn't feel that. And the thing that bothered me about it watching him at Florida is that, bro, you wore number 15 at Florida. You wore the number of Tim Tebow, who would literally die on a football field for his team to win. Like those are
We
I just
remember
felt
the
like it was
bloody jersey.
exactly. So I'm just thinking it was a maturity thing with him. And then when they say he was coming out, and I kept telling people, I said, look, he's amazing because people ask me because like the rumor is like, oh, Tristan's like the quarterback guru, like he can tell when like most of these guys are going to be good or bad. And I kept telling people, say he's an awesome talent, awesome talent. I don't know if he's prepared. I think he needs to go back to school. If you want to go to another program, then transfer. But you need to be in college one
Yeah.
more time because it wasn't the lack of talent, it was the maturity. And then when he got drafted by the Colts, I was like, oof, because all they know is great quarterbacks. They're not used to the slump that they've been in with quarterback play. You're talking about a team that had Unitas, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck. They don't know bad quarterback play until recent memory.
Yeah.
So I don't know how because Joe Flacco's gonna ball. I don't like let's not get this twisted. Joe Flacco gonna throw that thing. He gonna ball out. So I don't know how this is gonna look for Anthony Richardson going down the road because he gonna ball out. And if the
Is
Colts are in any way positioned to, I mean, you
is this
put the
looking
number four
like the
pick on them.
Browns, Deshaun Watson a year
No,
ago?
no,
Can
because
Joe Flacco
no,
take them to the playoffs? Okay. So we're not gonna go
no.
that far in. Okay.
Well, no, no. I'm not. No, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say he doesn't have a shot because the AFC is such in limbo with people with the teams, but other than the Steelers and the Chiefs right now, all the other teams are like vying for spots. Like no one's consistent. So I ain't gonna say that Joe Flacco not going to the playoffs. I just don't. I wouldn't compare it to the Browns and Deshaun situation because the Browns bought Deshaun Watson. Anthony Richardson is someone they drafted.
Yeah.
This is their guy, supposedly. So I feel like he's going to have an opportunity to possibly redeem himself. I just for the foreseeable future, especially if Joe Flacco comes out and plays well this weekend, I don't see when that would be. But there's a maturity. There's a maturity as far as playing quarterback, and then there's a maturity as far as being a franchise quarterback that he needs to learn from.
Mm.
And that's why they benched him.
Well, we move on to some other news of that game, and that goes on the other side of the sideline. The Texans wide receiver Stephon Diggs has torn his ACL and will miss the rest of the season. That's per Coach D'Amico Ryans today. This is a
Yeah,
blow to us. Hurts our team to hear that news. He's been such an important part to our team and everything that he brought, not only on the field, but off the field. The energy, the leader, the way he worked every single day have to pick up
yeah.
the slack. A lot of guys have to step up and pick up the slack. Definitely praying for him. That was D'Amico Ryans. Diggs, he tore his ACL on a non-contact. It's even rougher when it's a non-contact play because you was by yourself.
Uh,
A
When it's
non-contact
non
play. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
when it's non-contact. Yeah, no, you good. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I was just gonna say when anytime you see a player go down without getting hit, it's bad.
Yes.
Trust me.
2 minutes and 1 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Quarterback CJ Stroud completed a 4 yard pass to running back Joe Mixon during the play. Diggs cut inside on a route and grabbed his right knee, then sat on the turf. He walked off on his own power and didn't return. He finished the game with a team high 5 catches, Tristan, for 81 yards. The two-time All-Pro ranked seventh in the NFL in catches, 47 this season, second on the Texans in receiving yards with 496. The Texans loses Diggs at a time when the team is already without receiver Nico Collins, who was leading the
Yeah.
NFL in receiving yards 567 through the first
Yep.
6 weeks. However, Collins is out for at least one more game. There's some light at the end of the tunnel. After being placed on injured reserve with a hamstring injury in week 5, they still got some issues with Tank Dell. Joe Mixon gonna have to pick up some sacks. How much is this detrimental to the Texans? How much more is it detrimental to CJ Stroud? He's second year. He's still young, but he had his big receiver, and now he don't have one.
Oh, it's definitely detrimental. Absolutely. I mean, the whole idea of um getting Stephon Diggs was you saw how far the Texans got last year with the roster they had. Remember, Tank Dell was out. So you saw how far they got last year. And then to have the idea was the fact that you had, I forgot the tight end's name that they extended. He's awesome. So it's just, charge it to my brain, not my heart, because he's awesome. But to have the tight end that they have, and then the dream of Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell, and Joe Mixon in the backfield is it was that offense was potent. You're the only issue that I saw going into the season was the offensive line, which is they're definitely going to address that either through the draft and probably through free agency when the season's over, because I think that's going to be their downfall is the offensive line. But skill players wise, it was awesome to watch on paper and really to watch during the game because when healthy, those they perform like you said. Nico Collins was probably going to flirt with the triple crown for the wide receivers. Stephon Diggs was living up to the billing of the number they gave him in the contract. Tank Dell's going ball. I think he had a touchdown. So, and Joe Mixon just picked up where he left off, leaving Cincinnati, going there. If anything, he looks probably a little more explosive. So they lived up to the billing. It's just they just been hit with the injury bug. I think
Yeah,
Nico Collins coming back will be huge. Um, Joe Mixon's probably they're probably going to feature him more to protect CJ Stroud because when you don't got your horses and the offensive line already being shaky, you have to do something to offset that. Got to be quicker throws, quicker decisions, 1, 2 reads and get the ball out of his hands. Um, so they'll still
yeah.
be formidable, but they won't be what we thought they could be, like a team that can go deep into the playoffs with the roster that they had because they're dealing with these injuries.
It's crazy because the team they're supposed to play next week, if I'm correct, they have to go. The team they're supposed to play next week is a team they lost to in the playoffs. And the Ravens just had some news this week, too. Speaking of the Ravens agreed to trade for Panthers wide receiver Deontay Johnson. The Ravens agreed in principle to trade for Carolina Panthers wide receiver pending a physical, the team announced today. Today was busy,
Hmm.
wasn't it? The Ravens will send a fifth round pick to the Panthers for Johnson and Carolina's sixth round selection. Second time Johnson has moved. The Panthers sent him to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Ravens' AFC North rival, before the season. He will become just the third wide receiver since 2000 to catch a pass as a Raven and as a Steeler, according to ESPN research, joining Mike Wallace and Miles Boykin. Updated 2024 offense for the Ravens looks like this, Tristan. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Deontay Johnson, Mark Andrews. The Ravens lost to the Browns 24 to 29, 23 of 38 passes for Lamar Jackson for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. If you thought that game was on him, it was not. A lot of people rumbling about how Bateman can drop a ball. They say Johnson can drop a ball too. What are
Yeah.
we doing? And we need a pass rusher. You need a pass rusher. What are the Ravens doing? Are they going to figure out how they're going to use Derrick Henry? Does this lineup do anything for the Ravens?
No, he might have been better suited coming to us, to be quite honest. Because that offense needs to feature Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson being able to be threats on the ground to open up for everything else. You have a receiving core outside of Mark Andrews that one has a hard time getting open. Zay Flowers has his moments. He's all right, but for most part have a hard time getting open, and then you can't guarantee them to catch the ball most of the time. So to add another player that's not exactly sure-handed. Like I said, he probably would have been better off coming to us so we could have a liable number two. Um, but talking about with the Commanders, but
Yeah.
this doesn't really move the needle for me so much. I mean, it's a good move, I guess, because now it makes Bateman expendable at the end of the year. Um, so I guess, but
Nothing that pops
you
out
it's
to say, "Oh, the
well,
Ravens
no,
got it."
because it's your defense that can't stop anybody. It's your defense that's struggling, and it's because you can't develop a pass rush. So it's all the strain is on your back end, it's on your linebackers, it's on your DBs, because you can't generate pass rush to be able to give the offensive line havoc. Like you're losing in the trenches, so you can't hold it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no reason. Like had we had, I told people all the time, like look at the Commanders versus the Ravens game. Had Brian Robinson played that game, we probably would have won because your line can't sustain. So we're gonna run you. We would have. He probably would have had over 100 yards that game. Because it's not that they're giving up so much, but they just keep getting beat and beat and beat until your team scores. So I just feel like this move just you're giving more things for Lamar to play with, but at this point he's trying to you're gonna put Lamar in a position where he feels like he's gonna have to play hero ball because his defense can't do anything.
Speaking of a team, and this is off the record because I didn't really put this in the rundown, but the Bucks losing to Atlanta Falcons over the weekend, over this past Sunday. ATL Kirko. However,
Kirko
I want
change,
to take
baby.
Kirko change. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, I want to take it back. I want to take it back to Sunday night, and
Hmm.
where the season turned for the Bucks.
Hmm.
Mike Evans was limping to the
Hmm.
first to the first huddle. He was limping
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
the sideline, telling everybody he's not going to come out. Scores a touchdown, and you can see he's not
Hmm.
well. The game's on the
Hmm.
line, but it's not on the line.
Hmm.
And Chris Godwin is still in the game.
Hmm.
Season-ending injury,
Hmm.
tears knee injury.
Hmm.
You can see him on the cart. How irresponsible, if we're looking at that Buck sideline, for
Hmm.
somebody to say and tell Mike Evans, you're not coming back in here, and for somebody to tell Chris Godwin he's not coming in there. Now you're looking at a team that was looking at the higher echelon of the league, and it's
Hmm.
totally gone down. And it seems like in 24 hours, Tristan.
Yeah, I put more of the responsibility on the coaches for Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. At the time that Mike Evans got hurt, I mean, yeah, you kind of see, but you're hoping that it could have been a cramp or anything like that. Like you can't really predict hamstrings too much. Um, but Chris Godwin's situation is egregious because I think it was like I can't remember the time, but I think it was either at the 4 minute or the 2 minute mark where he went down,
Yeah.
and
It
the
was
game
so
was out of reach.
egregious. It was so
You were
egregious. They
yeah,
didn't even show it again.
you were down you were down two scores. Like there was nothing you would have been able to do to get that game. And in my mind, the reason why I said that one is more of a coaching malpractice to me than Mike Evans is because at that point Mike Evans is out. You have to protect your next best weapon on the field. Like that. So for me, I'm like, okay, the game's out of reach. We already been hit with an injury bug with Mike Evans. Chris, sit it down. Like shut it down because you don't know as well as Baker Mayfield has played this season. Baker Mayfield is not the kind of quarterback that can pull your roster and put it on his back like that. He needs to have tools to play with. If you give him tools, he'll operate. But if you now you done taken the two best tools off the field,
Yeah. The
and
difference between the Ravens and the Bucks.
it's now you're going to see Baker look average because he's not that guy. He's not that kind of outlier player where it's like you can put anything around him and he can make it happen. He's not that. So that yeah, I think it was coaching my practice. And they'll tell you, you can't predict when the injury is going to happen. He could have been fine and we could have left and he would have been fine. It's a freak thing, which yes, it was a freak thing, but there's some things you can control. And I feel like if the game's out of reach, in my mind, and maybe it's just a superstitious way I have of thinking, if my star player is down and I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking at the score, I gotta I gotta protect my next player because then it's just a domino effect that I think is gonna take place. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be tough sledding for the Bucks, who looked like a team that could have flirted with the NFC. Like I said, this season's wide open. Teams that we thought were gonna be something have not been consistent, and some have even been bad. Um, so this was a season where like a team like the Bucks could have shocked some people. A team like the Texans would have been humming. But unfortunately injuries is taking place. I especially feel bad for the Bucks because you're catching the 49ers on a down year. They're dealing with injuries, their record ain't good. So, you know, it's unfortunate.
Michigan quarterback Jack Tuttle is retiring from college football. He announced on social media. He cited a fifth concussion and prioritizing his health. Tristan, the Cardinals beat the Dolphins 28-27. You know who that's taking us to. Tua threw
Mhm.
for 234 yards, and the Dolphins had their best offensive performance of the season in his first start since he was diagnosed with the third known concussion of his career on September 12th against Buffalo. He was
Mhm.
designated to return on Monday after doctors deemed it safe for him to play. He cleared concussions protocol Friday following an examination by an independent neurologist consultant. I would say I felt like myself, Tagovailoa said. I've been preparing for 5 weeks as if I were to play while I was on IR. So I felt normal coming out there. Miami fans gave a loud ovation when Tagovailoa was introduced and chanted his name after the first scoring drive. But the biggest
Mm.
applause came after Tua scrambled for a first down in the third quarter and slid
Slid.
to avoid taking a hit, something he didn't do
Absolutely.
on the play when he was injured in week 2. Now we cheering for
Absolutely.
people sliding. One guy is in
Absolutely.
college and says goodbye. One says, I'm still going to keep playing. You alluded to it earlier, Tristan, about people not using the tired bug and doing whatever to play, and Tua's risking
Yep.
life. What's your reaction to him back?
Hey, listen, as a fan, I'm glad he's back, glad he's healthy. Well, healthy enough rather. Um, he looked good. It didn't look like, anything was altered. And his mechanics or anything like that looked good. Slid, yeah, that was huge. That was the big thing I took from it was him sliding. And not trying to go for the extra yards. So I pray for him just to play smart football like that and pray that he doesn't suffer another hit. But kudos to the college quarterback for thinking about his health. I mean, 5 concussions is wow. Um,
Yeah,
I would, it's different. I think it's a little easier to make that decision in college, especially when you're not looked to be like a high prospect or whatever for the league. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Um,
No money on the
I think,
line.
yeah, I think it's easier to make that call than for Tua. And you got Tua's just signed that big contract that's basically set his family up for life. We can only imagine how many people in his family outside of his immediate family, like his children and such, is counting on him to be out there. And yeah, it's just different. It's a different thing. So I'm happy for Dolphins fans. The offense looked like it was, getting back into form. Um, so clearly he is the best man for that job,
Yeah.
specifically. Um, so happy for Dolphins fans, happy for him, happy for his family, and I pray a healthy, safe career.
As we close, I saved the best for last because this was the Hail Mary that changed the whole Eastern Hemisphere. And
Man,
I purely thought after watching, first of all, the 1 o'clock games was wow
wild.
last week. Sunday was crazy. I saw the Ravens lose and thought, well, 95 corridor about to get hit this week. The Brown
Shout out to
the
Jameis.
the Bear, I mean, Caleb Williams is coming home. We've seen what he can do with a Hail Mary. Gonzaga,
Yep.
DeMatha, shout out to them. The Bears go back. The Bears stay in it some way, somehow, because the Commanders controlled this whole game, and them field goals kept them in there. And they go down the field. They score a touchdown. I'm thinking, well, up and down 95 is going to take a hit this Sunday.
Yep.
And next thing you know, Tristan, I was screaming.
Yeah.
Off. Not even no time left. But what? Now I understand how it's a walk off home run, and there's nothing you can do about it. And there's a word I said, and I'm not going to say because this is a family show, but I said walk off, and it was and it's beautiful for this to continue. Scary
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin's in the news this week. He's on the radio talking about how this is the best he's felt. This is the most fun he's had his whole career. We're
Whole
not even
career.
talking about this year. We're talking about his whole career. What's your thoughts on last Sunday? I mean, Hail Marys happen every once in a while. Adam Schefter calling it the play of the year.
It they do happen every once in a while. They don't happen to us.
Stevenson,
They
what
don't
the hell?
happen. They don't happen. Well, I'm gonna get to that, but they don't happen for us. And before I get, because I do have something to say about the Bears and Bears fans.
Yeah,
But before I get to that with them, let me just relish in this occasion, this moment, this time that we're in. And for those that are, currently watching, for those that will watch this in the future, um, listen, for so long as a franchise,
yes,
and I know Mikkel will understand because Mikkel is a true blue fan, as I am. We've suffered through this. We've endured the Dan Snyder era, dealing with Bruce Allen, the bad contracts, the 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 old players that were once stars and they came here because Dan Snyder threw a bunch of money at them and they were already washed. The constant quarterback carousel, the constant coaching changes. Every year we're hoping that this is going to be it. We're going to finally right the ship, and it never happens. Listen, this is this week is probably the first time in my time that I've truly been able to walk around and really flex about my team. And the reason why I say this is because
yeah.
understand, if you're a true Commanders fan, even when Josh Harris bought the team, even when he brought in Adam Peters, even when Adam Peters brought in Dan Quinn, these are all good moves. Even when we drafted Jaden Daniels, even when we got Bobby Wagner to lead the defensive side of the ball, all these moves were good. If you're a Commanders fans slash Redskins fan,
Slash Washington
you
football team fan.
a Washington football team fan, which is a name I felt they should have kept anyway. If you were a fan all this time, you know that there was always a level of apprehension,
Yeah,
reluctancy, because we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. This all looks so good. This looks so great, but this is what our team has done before, has put us on a high during the offseason, and then we're flat.
yeah,
This is even seeing some of these games, even after the Bengals game, even watching him perform, I still was like, hold on, let's just wait. When I saw how that game went and how it ended, I said, oh, the football gods they just might be in favor of the Commanders now.
yeah,
Because we had every reason to lose the game.
yeah,
And it wasn't that Jaden Daniels was really terrible or awful. It was just the defense was just playing us well. I mean, it's just what it was, and we're going to run into those moments. For that to happen, and the Hail Mary to still come out, and for us to win because of it, it just we haven't had the ability to flex our muscles like this. I'm hearing people put the Commanders in the top 5 power rankings, top 10 power ranking. When was the last time we've been in that? Like
Four
it's this
straight
is
at
this is
home. At
I'm
home.
this is just a new where we're looking at it as a favorite for a couple of these games coming down the pipe. People are talking about, well, y'all don't want to see the Commanders. Like people are legitimately having anxiety to come play us. Like this is even I I can't even say the RG3 era was quite like
No,
this. This is
no.
something different. This is
This is a
different. This
higher
is
level.
this is a higher level. And the reason why it's a higher level because I think even when we saw what RG3 was doing, we knew that the overhead of that team still had Dan Snyder's hands, still had Bruce Allen's hands. So we knew there was just something off. But this is, I mean, you don't hear the owner unless he's on the sideline cheering for the team. Adam Peters working, keeping everything close to the vest. We ain't got no rumors coming out of our locker room, coming out of the front office every other week and all that. It's just about football. Dan Quinn is, I mean, these guys would run through a wall for this man. It's just football. Ain't none
You
of that
forgot
mess.
about
And
the
then we,
name situation. You don't even
I mean,
the
we don't
stadium
even care.
problems. The
We don't
stadium
even
problems.
care.
What the hell is
I
Northwest
mean,
Stadium?
right. And nobody caring because it's sold out because we're coming to see this guy play. And you see the team just getting the confidence, getting that extra oomph, that special something that makes these teams be like, yo, we could do this. We can make some noise. I'm just so excited and I'm so grateful as a fan to finally, I mean, Mikhail, how many times have we done episodes talking about them and we're like, when is it going to be our turn to have that our guy? No longer
Yeah.
looking through free agency, bringing in an old QB that got discarded from another team. No, when is it our guy? We drafted him, we're raising him. When is it going to be our turn? And we're finally here.
You know what's even crazier? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago about this this awfulness thought mentality of what's gonna happen next. And then the rib injury happens and you're like, damn, and it sucks the
Oh
energy out of
boy.
you. But what also I'm finding is people were so content with us losing that when we had a chance to be happy about something, it was now the Commanders fans think this, Commanders fans think this. Now they're even more mad and more disgusted that we're winning. Y'all Commanders fans think this. Y'all Commanders fans need to pipe down. We can't have it either way, but we're going to take this one, ain't we? To the degree, Tristan, if you look at the schedule coming up, the next 5 games look viable. And you could say we're playing the schedule we got. We're playing who's in front of us. I think we have the Steelers, or we have one. Yeah, we have the Steelers. That's an important game. If you're losing
Yep.
to the Ravens by 7, oh my gosh, would you the eruption that would happen if we beat the Steelers? There's
Yeah.
a
I mean,
potential to go. There's a potential to win 5 straight.
it is a potential to win 5 straight. I think the Steelers defense is better than the Ravens. So I think they
Yeah,
would give us a challenge, for sure. Defensively, I think that would be a great test for our offense to see where we're at. But it's definitely one of like
win or lose
looking
is
at
the
the
same
next
mentality. Yeah,
looking at the next 5 games. I've never been in a situation with this team where I can look at a string of games and be like, all those are winnable. This is I looked at it and I was like, all these are winnable. All of these are winnable games. We might lose one or two, but they're
yeah,
all winnable games. And
yeah.
that's to have that kind of confidence in your team. I mean, we've watched other people, other fans, and other franchises have it. We never had it. We just
No,
always assume if we're going against a team and they were relatively good, we were gonna lose. If we're going against a team and they're great, we're gonna get blown out. Like that's how we looked at it. But
yeah.
not now. It's
It
a
was
it's a
real
new
black and
day.
white.
It's a new day in the nation's capital.
I gotta go refresh my gear. I feel good wearing my gear again.
Yeah, wear it with pride. Wear it with pride. Listen, it's beautiful. I'm listen. I'm elated. I'm elated about it. I really am. This is. I
Swing
just
your
never thought
arms
I'd see
going
it.
to work in the morning saying, "You a Bears fan, huh?"
Exactly. 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 And and all what to talk about it. Well, I'm gonna leave it to you. Do you want me to go ahead and say what I wanted to say about the Bears?
Please go into it. Stevenson, we looking at that. He's heckling the crowd, and his hands tipped the ball. Noah Brown was at the right place at the right time.
Sure.
The bounce of the luck. It wasn't even luck because it was going to go, like, to throw it. You have to think that everybody was going to bar for it. His awareness to get behind everybody was beautiful. And we've seen the call in Spanish, we've seen the call in English with the same excitement, Tristan. But Caleb Williams was pissed.
It's every right. Every right. So, Bears fans, I'm not even going to beat up on Stevenson because to me, you shouldn't even been in that situation. Y'all should have won that game way before then. Bears fans need to brace themselves because you're entering a familiar saga. We've seen this before. We've seen this before. And what it is that we're entering the Andrew Luck era with your team. Why do you say that, Tristan? So, Mikhail, I know we didn't get back into the show until the season had already started. So we didn't get to talk about the draft. We didn't get to talk about that stuff. Well, you
Yeah.
and I did, but we didn't get to talk about it on the show.
Yeah.
On my other football show, Just a Fan podcast, we talked about this, and I mentioned back in January, February, March, when it was definitive that Caleb Williams was going to be the number one quarterback. I said in regards to their GM, oh, so are y'all going to fire the head coach and get a new head coach for Caleb or no? Kept wondering, kept looking, kept waiting because you're hinging your franchise on this kid
Yeah.
that is supposedly a generational talent. And I'm not saying he's not. I just think he's really talented. I think we use the term generational talent very loosely, and I'll get into that at
We
another
you
episode.
say that all you say that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like we use so loosely, but he is really talented. And what you did was you kept the same staff that couldn't get Mitchell Trubisky together, same staff that couldn't get Justin Fields together, and you're riding with this cat. And what's crazy is like I watched Caleb Williams. He slowly have gotten better and better. You're seeing the game slow down more and more for him as the games go. What the problem is that your offensive line can't protect him to give him the time because he has the weapons. Keenan Allen, Adunze,
When they were
Kmet,
going fast, it was
Swift.
good.
It was good.
Yeah.
But when you got to just play it straight up, your offensive line can't hold.
Yeah,
And
he
you
can't
have the
drop back at
defense.
all.
And you have the defense to play as well. So you did not invest in a coach or coaching staff to help develop this properly. And what's happening now is that one thing I think with Caleb that people underestimate is how his football IQ. There was a moment in the game where Jaden Daniels is driving the team down. This is before the Hail Mary play. And you can see Caleb is telling them, go back, go back, go back. Caleb Williams is on the sideline trying to get the coach's attention to tell the players on the field, hey, they need to be in this position because he saw something that they could exploit. Didn't listen to him. Jaden Daniels exploited it. You had a moment where Caleb Williams got your team down to the red zone. Y'all been struggling to get down to the red zone against us. But at the goal line, you have Swift, who is a great running, well, I wouldn't say great, but he's a very good running back. And you have Caleb Williams, who is an athletic quarterback. And you call a play where you have Caleb, your number one pick, your QB, hand the ball off to a backup center who has not played a snap this season, and he fumbles at the goal line. It's
Yeah.
it's it's such coaching malpractice to put your franchise QB in that kind of situation where that's why I said you should have won the game. But the coach lost that game. It wasn't the players. The coach lost that game. And what's happening now is that I said he should be fired before you bring this kid in. Give him a fresh coach in there to do what he needs to do. Well,
Bless you.
depending, thank you. Depending how this season goes for the Bears, if the season is a utter failure, because I feel like it's good enough. I feel like Caleb's good enough. You got the weapons that you can all run a decent season. But if you don't, you need to evaluate your coach and you need to get a new head coach in there because you're going to get a very disgruntled Caleb Williams if you come back with this same coaching staff and nothing changes and we see a bit of the same thing next season. You're going to get a
Yeah.
very disgruntled Caleb Williams
He
because he does
already
not
mad.
seem he's already you can see it.
He's not
Even
gonna
when
keep
he
his
jumped
mouth
up,
shut. And you said that a couple weeks ago. He doesn't look like the one that's gonna bite his tongue
he's not
at
that
all.
kind. He's not that kind. He's going to say what he feels because he believes it, because he believes he's the best player on the field every time he steps there. And that's how you should be. You want your franchise player to be that way, but he's not going to mince his words.
No.
So I'm
I'm
just telling y'all from now, watch out, watch out. And I'm gonna be like, I told y'all so, but watch out.
I'm surprised they didn't play the sideline on that last drive by the Commanders because they were able to get
Yeah,
out of bounds. They were able to get the
yeah,
first down. They went down the field as if there was still time left on the clock. I want
absolutely.
to, in closing, you said a little something earlier about, you being the quarterback guru.
Hmm.
We talk a lot about Dan and closing on the Commanders. We talk about a lot about Dan Quinn, but Cliff Kingsbury and him being the rookie QB sensei. We know what he did with we know what he did in Arizona with Kyler Murray. We've seen
Hmm.
the work he did with Mahomes.
Hmm.
His
And
ability to
Caleb
just
at
and
Oklahoma.
Caleb,
Mhm.
we've seen what he's been able to do to sing to these rookie quarterbacks. How beneficial, how great has he been in this rehaul too? I mean, you talk about this offense and it's a college offense, and everybody talking about it. It's a reduced offense. But what has he really been able to do to make Jaden Daniels shine? How great has he been in all this as well?
He's been awesome, and he's done the thing where I wish more coaches would follow suit. And he literally said, "This is what you do great. Let's implement this into the offense, and then we're going to expand you as you grow and as you continue to gain knowledge." I'm almost mad that he's been so successful because he's going to get a bunch of calls during the offseason for head coaching spots because
Yeah,
of what he's doing. Um, and it just wouldn't shock me if he was to go. I would love for him to pull a Ben Johnson, like Ben Johnson did, and stay in Detroit. I would love for him to just
yeah.
be like, "No, I'm good here as OC." But it wouldn't shock me if he tries to grab another head coaching spot. Um, he's done an amazing job. A lot of people weren't high on Cliff Kingsbury hire. I was not one of those people. I thought it was a great hire because I said we're not asking him. Y'all are thinking of the uh, y'all thinking of head coach Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. We're not asking him to be a head coach. We're asking him to be the offense coordinator. And I think it's a beautiful marriage because you have Dan Quinn, who you can tell is a head coach. You can tell the mentality, his
He's a leader of
personality.
men. He's really
He's
leading.
a leader of men. So
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury, all he had to do was just come in and say, "I'm gonna just focus on the offense and focus on Jaden Daniels." And you see what it looks like when he's able to just lock in to what he knows best, which is offense. You see what it looks like. So yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I had liked the hire. People didn't like it. But I'm like, y'all are thinking of head coach. As an OC, what he did for Kyler, oh yeah, definitely want him for Jaden Daniels. So yeah, I mean he's awesome. I just think that coaching staff is a beautiful mixture. And you have the right guy in Dan Quinn at the helm because he, like you said it perfectly, he's a leader of men. You need the head coach is the manager, and the manager has their little team leaders for different sections, and he just cultivates the whole thing. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what great head coaches do, is put great coaches around them to be able to delegate responsibility so they can manage the whole thing. And that's why it just looks like beautiful harmony. I love going on social media and seeing their post game in the locker room and seeing how the guys are and all that stuff. I mean Sunday was definitely telling because you just see all the players that are running to Dan Quinn and hugging them and lifting them, and it's beautiful to see. As a fan, I'm elated.
They've bought into this, and I mean, it's one thing for us to enjoy seeing, but to see people enjoy going to work, because we forget oftentimes that the NFL is a job. These guys put
It's
their
a job.
minds. They look at film all week. They prepare, but to be able to, Terry McLaurin is happy to go to work. Payne
Yeah,
is happy to go to work, and
yeah.
it's been rough for them. So I'm gonna just end with a sigh.
That's it. It's because we've waited so long. We've waited so long, and it's like, wow, we can really cheer for these guys legit, like not to just be loyal, but the fact that they're really good. We can
Yeah,
really cheer for them. Yeah.
yeah. Well, barring technical difficulties next week, well, not next week. We
Yeah.
got weekend. I mean, I hope I get to see you more than 30 minutes. Um,
I know. I don't know what it was today. It just seemed like it was a real bad
we need
technical bug today.
we need the broadcast gods on our side, but you know, master control. When you got to be your own master control, okay?
That's
Uh,
right. That's right.
Anyways, people, I'm gonna say it every week, like I say it every week. I don't care if it does not rhyme. It is still mine. I'm McKell, like Kevin McKell, and we'll see you episode 138. Oh, are we inching the 150? Watch us. See you soon. Peace,
Peace.
America.